in particular next summer. I don't know if they're all here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's Morgan? Morgan, get up here. Oh, I saw a couple other kids. No Morgan today?
No, Morgan's not here.
11 of the kids are going to New Orleans next summer for the National Youth Gathering. The National Lutheran Youth Gathering is held every 3 years. They've kind of, and before you ask the question, no, I do not understand the logic of sending a bunch of Christian kids to New Orleans. Every 3 years, there's 25 to 30,000 youth, Lutheran youth from around the country. This is going to be your group that's representing Zion. We've got 14 total with the chaperones. It's going to be Pastor and Michelle Landvit and Kim Antonin are going with. So we kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about what they're going to be doing next summer. And Michelle Egebrotten was fortunate enough to go to 2 of these when she was in high school. Depending on how you fall in high school, you can maybe hit 1 or 2 of them since they're every 3 years. So Michelle's going to tell you a little bit about her experience with these youth gatherings.
Emily. You count Emily?
Emily.
All right, hopefully you can hear me. As Jeff said, I went to 2. I attended 1995's River of Light in San Antonio, Texas. And then 1998's youth gathering was called to be in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's the one that I brought a couple of pictures. I thought those were kind of fun. I went with my group from my church where I grew up back home, Sacramento, and Pastor went with his group from Santa Barbara, and we actually got our 2 groups together while we were there, so there's some fun pictures over there if you get a chance to check them out. Rather than try and remember what happened 14 years ago, I decided I called my parents and asked them to send me an essay that I wrote in high school. That was, I wrote this essay in October, 3 months after we got back from our trip, and it is a much better summary of the trip and what I remember than I could do now. So, here we go. San Antonio, Texas in July 1995 was hot, humid, and my host city for the week. Every morning, the entire group of 28,000 would assemble for an enjoyable and deeply moving Bible study, giving each participant a relaxing hour of communication with God. This reassurance was followed by the division into family groups to enjoy the provided activities and generally share the excitement felt with those around us. Evenings brought programs for the reaffirmation of faith and a thorough review of beliefs crucial to my growth while at the gathering. Through services First Light, One Light, Points of Light, and High Delight, the spirit and energy of the group were extremely contagious. The gathering gave me nearly 24 hours a day of desperately needed Christian encouragement and lifestyle reinforcement. Protected by the armor of thousands, all believing as I did, I was secure. I had a great desire to go out and meet everyone. However, I found that I could not introduce myself to 28,000 people in 6 days. Coming home, I distinctly remember wishing I could have exchanged addresses with just a few more people. One more day would have meant so many more possibilities. My consolation was that for every person that had made my week just a little bit better, there was probably at least one person out there counting me as one person who had helped to make his or her week special. I now know that I didn't need to meet thousands. I had only to hear them singing, watch them dancing, and feel them praying. The collection of different people and different backgrounds, united with the blue backpacks, formed the gathering river that ran through San Antonio. But it is the hearts joined in the eternal river that I will remember forever. So that's just an excerpt. It kind of captures it a little bit better than I could. I just want to say that this was a huge experience for me at the time, coming from not a small church, but a church that didn't have much youth, not a lot of youth activities. It was a really big eye-opening experience to be there with thousands and thousands of people the same age or within a few years. I think I was the between my junior and senior year, junior in high school at that time. Of course, the guest speakers were great. Of course, the Bible studies were very thought-provoking. The music was wonderful. Got great memories of all of the above. But the take-home lesson for me, what I took back to Sacramento was there were thousands of other people just like me. That was a big thing. So, and that's not something that I could have read or could have found anywhere else. So that was pretty important. That was something that stuck with me, that I took to college, that I was one of thousands, not one of a handful that I was used to at my own home church. So the main thing I want to say this morning, this trip for these young people is less about attending the program and more about being in the same place and the same time as all the other teams, all these other thousands of teams that are getting together in their home churches. They're getting ready, probably doing something very similar to what they're doing this morning. Each of these teams led by God to participate in the gathering, and they all have their own congregations behind them, just like we plan to stand behind these people as well. So to those of you who are going, the journey is long, stick with it. To the parents, this tasks seem endless. Stick with them. And to the rest of the congregation, the help they will need is immense. But let's stay behind them, because they're gonna need it. Thank you.
In a minute, I will play, there's a video of the history of the youth gatherings. I'm going to let that run until Pastor hits the kill switch for Bible class. Just so you know what they're talking about undertaking here, short of what we're asking the parents, yeah, this is the money speech, so if you want to start tuning out, go right ahead. Short of what we're asking the parents to pay, and they don't even know the total yet, these kids are trying to raise $11,000. There's going to be fundraisers throughout the year. We've specifically set up fundraisers that we're going to tell them you cannot approach a congregation member with this fundraiser. So you guys aren't going to get hammered. The big one that I'll give you guys a heads up on, if you go to picnics in the summer and you play, well, they call it bags now. It used to be called cornhole or bago. We're going to be having basically a full-day bags tournament here on January 30th. At least that's the tentative date that sets right now. So watch for that. That's going to be their big fundraiser between now and next July.
Tell them what that is.
That's the boards where it's 27 feet apart with the holes in them and you're tossing bean bags. So there's going to be registrations. You basically sign up with a team of 2. So talk it up in your neighborhood, talk it up at work. The other thing is we'll start to give you more information on this next week, but we're going to be starting a program next week where people that are so inclined can kind of take the next step and really become involved with these kids. And we're calling it youth investors. And really, that's what it is. You will be investing in the future of these kids. There's going to be feedback from the kids throughout the year between now and July. There's going to be a special youth shareholders banquet after they get back where they will give you the entire trip, present the entire trip. It's a way to not only get you to support the kids, but to get the kids more connected with you guys as a congregation. So keep these kids in your prayers between now and July. I would guess that the chaperones would probably say, especially keep them in your prayers. Kim is nodding her head over there. We really appreciate the support you give these kids. So this is the history of, until Pastor cuts it off.
The Lutheran Church Missouri Synod has a long history of gathering the young people of the church together for worship, Bible study, service, fellowship, and celebration. Young people of the Synod gathered regularly in youth gatherings from the earliest days of the Old Wather League which was formally organized in 1893, and except for the years during World War II, actually gathered in convention every year until the late 60s. Lutheran youth have always enjoyed the opportunity to gather together and continue to do so in 2007.
In the 1970s, there was an effort to bring young people of the three major Lutheran church bodies at the same time together in one gathering.